Can the American dream still transform lives, or has it become a fading promise for too many? For generations, the United States has symbolized opportunity, drawing dreamers to cities like Denver, Colorado. Yet, beneath the city's vibrant exterior, a harsh reality unfolds. Hard-working families are slipping into homelessness, their hopes crushed by a system that offers little support. This crisis is not unique to Denver. It's a national wound spreading into
I'm sorry, I also have issues with mental health. I suffer from depression and anxiety, and that contributes to my homelessness too. But hopefully, America will wake up. Yeah.
In this video, we explore the heartbreaking truth behind why so many Americans, despite pouring their hearts into endless work, are forced to call their car. We'll highlight the stories of those hit hardest, especially seniors who've devoted their lives to this country, only to face a system Homelessness in Denver has become a sobering wake-up call for the nation. In January 2024, the Department of Housing and Urban Development counted 18,715 Coloradans without a home, including 8,519 families, a staggering 134% increase in family homelessness compared to previous. The 2023 point-in-time count for Metro Denver revealed 9,065 homeless individuals, up nearly 32% from the previous year, with first-time homelessness rising sharply. Perhaps most heartbreaking of all, over 23,000 students across Colorado lacked stable housing in 2024, many sleeping in tents, cars, or under. Yet even these shocking figures only scratch the surface of the crisis. Service data suggests that as many as 28,000, 30,000 people in Denver sought help over the course of the year, indicating that the true number of people. These are not just numbers. These are human lives unraveling. Children huddled in makeshift camps, their futures put on hold before. Seniors who've worked their entire lives now sleeping in parking lots. Families on the brink, undone by a single medical bill or job loss.
So we need houses that are low income for people and that would be rented to them according to their income. That's 0 to 30%. Here in Denver, we have 23,000 houses that are empty, but they on the high end, 60% and up.
The forces driving this crisis are clear. In 2024, rents in Denver jumped by 8%, while the supply of affordable housing remains critically low, with only 34 units available for every 100 low-income households. In this environment, 70% of low-income renters are paying more than half their income on rent, leaving little for emergencies and making eviction. And this crisis isn't just confined to the streets of Denver. It's spreading to suburbs and rural areas, places once thought immune to large-scale. For every person visibly living without shelter, countless others are just one paycheck or one bad break. The urgent question is no longer just how many are homeless. It's how many of us are living just one step away from losing everything. And perhaps the most haunting question of all, what does it say about the nation we've built when a safe place to sleep has become a privilege rather Denver's efforts to combat homelessness are built on a patchwork of policies.
As you know, this will be now, our 8th site that will be opening across 5 council districts as a part of our House 1,000 effort that we have now dubbed All In Mile High as part of our ongoing effort.
Mayor Mike Johnston's All in Mile High initiative has demonstrated the power of targeted action, moving 2,169 people indoors in 2024 and setting a bold goal for 2025. The program's success in housing all 52 of Denver's homeless veterans by late 2024 is proof that new developments, such as a community for single parents, set to open in May 2025, and the revitalized Renewal Village offer glimmers of hope, but they fall far short. Some steps toward accountability have been taken. For instance, in March 2025, the city rejected a $3 million Salvation Army contract due to safety concerns, opting instead for monthly shelter inspections and However, systemic gaps remain wide. The Housing First model, which combines permanent housing with mental health and addiction support, boasts a 98% success. Yet, far too few have access to this life-saving program, with only a small fraction of eligible households receiving federal vouchers like Section 8. Affordable homes are in critically short supply, with Colorado facing a deficit of. In this environment, the safety net feels more like a tightrope, one misstep away from disaster. Coordination between agencies often breaks down, especially in emergencies, leaving seniors, disabled individuals, and families in limbo. Meanwhile, Denver's homelessness spending, which runs into the hundreds of millions annually, is increasingly scrutinized for costly temporary fixes, like hotel conversions, divert precious resources from permanent. The intentions are there, but they can't close the gap between the overwhelming. When systems fail, it's the most vulnerable who bear the brunt. Seniors on fixed incomes, parents trying to protect their children, and individuals. The question remains, when the safety net begins to unravel, who will bear the cost, and why isn't In Denver, homelessness strikes without mercy, but its cruelest toll falls on the most fragile, especially seniors. Many elderly individuals living on meager Social Security checks face a brutal reality. For them, homelessness isn't just hardship, it's a death sentence. On the streets, chronic illnesses like diabetes and heart disease spiral out of control, and cognitive decline accelerates, turning years. In an unforgiving economy, seniors over 50 face far higher death rates than their housed peers, a stark reminder of a system that is. Yet seniors aren't the only ones bearing the weight of this crisis. Families with children, often migrants fleeing desperate circumstances, arrive in Denver only to face a housing market that shuts them out. Black and Native American communities suffer disproportionately, a legacy of systemic barriers like redlining and discriminatory lending that have prevented wealth building for generations. Survivors of domestic violence face an agonizing choice: endure abuse or risk the streets, where shelters. LGBTQ+ youth, rejected by their families, and young adults aging out of foster care also find themselves among the homeless, stripped of the safety nets that others take for granted. Each of these groups battles a system that seems rigged against. Seniors, however, face unique challenges. Many lack the strength or technological skills needed to navigate today's job markets or online aid systems. Widowed or estranged, they often have no one to turn to, no family, no safety net. Programs designed for senior housing, like Section 202, are woefully underfunded, offering only a few units. For seniors of color, systemic racism compounds the hardship, as historical injustices leave them with fewer resources to weather. This crisis reveals a painful truth. Homelessness is not a personal failure, but a systemic betrayal, where a single stroke of bad luck, an illness, or an eviction can thrust. When society allows its most vulnerable to slip through the cracks, what does that say about our values? To truly understand the crisis of homelessness in America, we must dismantle the myths that blame personal failings like laziness or addiction. In Denver, the real culprit is a severe shortage of affordable housing. Rent for even a modest apartment far exceeds what most workers, especially those earning minimum wage, can afford. As a result, low-income renters spend over half their income on rent with no safety net for life's inevitable setbacks. A sudden illness, a car repair, or a job loss can trigger eviction in just weeks. Even middle-income earners, once symbols of stability, now find themselves trapped as permanent. Systemic failures fuel this precarious situation. Federal housing subsidies reach only a small fraction of those in need, leaving millions to navigate. Mental health and addiction services, crucial for many homeless individuals, are chronically underfunded, offering only band-aid solutions when comprehensive care is essential. Historical injustices like redlining and discriminatory lending have robbed marginalized communities of wealth-building opportunities, leaving them exposed. Personal crises, such as domestic violence or family breakdowns, often serve as the final push into homelessness. Shockingly, many homeless individuals hold jobs, working tirelessly, yet still unable to afford. Political divides only deepen the crisis. Denver's sanctuary city policies, now under federal scrutiny as of May 2025, draw migrants who overwhelm local shelters. Meanwhile, competing approaches, Denver's Housing First model, which prioritizes housing without preconditions, versus neighboring Aurora's Work First philosophy, avoid the core issue, a housing market. The truth is undeniable. Most homeless individuals don't choose this life. They're trapped in a system that denies them a fair chance. From discriminatory policies to inadequate support, the barriers are systemic. This crisis demands that we look beyond blame and confront the structures that perpetuate it. What barriers have you seen in your community pushing people toward homelessness? Denver has poured significant resources into tackling homelessness, yet the outcomes often raise more questions than answers. Mayor Mike Johnston's All in Mile High initiative has shown promise, moving thousands into shelter and prioritizing. The program's success with veterans is especially notable, with nearly all homeless veterans in Denver housed by late 2024, demonstrating the potential. Innovative projects like a new community for single parents and the redeveloped Renewal Village offer hope, but they fall far. In early 2025, the city made a bold move by rejecting a problematic contract with a major shelter provider over safety concerns, opting instead for stricter inspections and better staff training, an important step toward. Yet, these efforts are undermined by systemic inefficiencies. The Housing First model, which pairs permanent housing with mental health and addiction support, has proven highly effective, keeping most participants stably housed. However, it reaches only a small fraction of those in need due to limited funding. Federal housing subsidies like Section 8 are similarly scarce, leaving countless families vulnerable to a housing market that's relentless. Coordination between agencies, HUD, FEMA, and Health and Human Services remains disjointed, especially during crises, wasting precious resources that could. A recent report raised concerns about Denver's inability to track its massive spending on homelessness, sparking doubts about whether funds are being. Meanwhile, temporary solutions like costly hotel conversions drain budgets that could be spent on building lasting homes. Political gridlock further complicates the issue. A 2025 federal lawsuit targeting Denver's sanctuary city policies threatens support for migrant families who have contributed. Debates over competing approaches, such as housing first versus work first models, divert attention from the core issue, a severe housing shortage that, despite substantial investment, the question remains, if so much money is spent on addressing homelessness, why are the streets still filled? Denver's efforts show potential, but without better coordination, greater transparency, and a stronger commitment to permanent solutions, the crisis persists. Vulnerable communities continue to bear the burden of a system that Ending homelessness in Denver requires more than just quick fixes. It demands systemic change. First and foremost, the city must significantly expand affordable housing. Fully funding programs like Section 8 and Section 202 to cover 100% of low-income households, similar to SNAP for food assistance, is raising the minimum wage to $20 divided by hour would better align with Denver's cost of living, giving workers a fighting chance. Scaling up housing first, along with wraparound services for mental health, addiction, and job training, is non-negotiable. With a 90% success rate, its effectiveness is clear, and expanding its reach is crucial. Community-level solutions are just as vital. A program like California's Home Safe, which offers financial aid and case management to at-risk seniors, could be transformative in Denver. Anti-discrimination laws that ban bias against voucher holders would open more doors for those in need. For migrants, dedicated housing and job programs could relieve. Public awareness campaigns, such as the Street Francis Center's art project with formerly homeless residents, could reduce stigma and generate broader. Innovative funding models, like taxing second homes or leveraging public-private partnerships, could help close the 70,000 unit housing gap in Colorado. This isn't just about policy, it's about collective will to treat housing. On the individual level, prevention is key. Building an emergency fund to cover 3-6 months of expenses, seeking affordable housing early, and supporting local shelters like the. Advocacy matters too. Backing candidates who champion housing and welfare reforms can shift the tide. Denver's future hinges on whether we view homelessness as a solvable problem or an inevitable. If we scale up housing first and subsidies, we could reduce homelessness by 25% by 2027, according to the U.S. Interagency Council on Homelessness. The question is, will we act? Without decisive action, Denver's homelessness crisis threatens to worsen, with experts warning of a significant rise by 2030. Seniors and families will be hit hardest as Colorado's massive housing shortage won't resolve itself, and political clashes over migration policies and competing approaches, housing first versus work first models, risk deepening. Yet, glimmers of hope remain. The near elimination of veteran homelessness in Denver proves what's possible when scaling up proven strategies like Housing First, which pairs permanent housing with comprehensive support services, could transform countless lives, but it requires bold political will and an unwavering. For individuals, every action counts. Donating to groups like the Colorado Coalition for the Homeless, volunteering at local shelters, or advocating for housing reform. These small steps create ripple effects, challenging the systems that perpetuate homelessness. Nationally, the crisis serves as a clarion. With millions of Americans living in cars and low-income renters, just one missed paycheck away from eviction. Homelessness in America is not a distant problem, but a national emergency demanding an urgent. Denver's future hangs in the balance. Will it become a city where no one sleeps on the streets, or one where despair overtakes hope? The answer lies in our collective. What will you do to ensure no one in your community faces the streets alone? By supporting policies that close the housing gap and backing leaders who prioritize solutions, we can guide Denver and the nation toward a future where the American dream is within reach for all. The homelessness crisis in Denver is a stark warning that the American dream is slipping away for millions. It's not just about statistics, it's about real lives. Children, seniors. This crisis demands more than sympathy. It demands action. We must break the stigma that blames the homeless for their circumstances. The reality is most are victims of systemic. Support organizations like the Colorado Coalition for the Homeless, push for policies that make housing a right, and vote for leaders who will close the housing gap. Share this video, spark conversations, and demand accountability. Together, we can build a Denver and an America where no one has to sleep under a bridge. The American dream isn't dead, but it's on life support. Will we revive it or let it fade into the night? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and let's ensure that no one is left.